here we are on Metropolis, and down at the 6 o'clock position, we have our pink Zerg player from Complexity. It is Gosu User. And his opponent at the 12 o'clock position from Acer, our teal Zerg, Bly.
Okay, so Gosu User can also be called Ghost Whisperer because, you know, all the letters in his name are also in Ghost Whisperer, and that's what I think I said the first time I ever cast a game of his.
I remember the first time I ever looked at it before someone had pronounced it, I was like, Gosu Zer?
I really thought it was like a play on Ghost Whisperer for some reason, but then I asked him, and he's like, oh no, it's actually the W is 2 U's. And I was like, well, you could just, you know, write 2 U's instead of that.
Yeah, because then I get it. Maybe a second capital U.
A W in most European languages is a double V anyway, so that would be like Gossvsr.
Yeah, that's why I had no idea at first. And then, of course, someone said it, and I was like, oh, okay, all right,
sure, whatever.
Clever. I'll go with it.
Clever Gosu User. I actually have a story about giving Gosu User the shirt off my back one time at an MLG. I was covering for Complexity, and he had just beaten Polt in their open bracket. Yeah. And you know, they said, oh my god, this Zerg player that nobody knows from Complexity Academy just beat Polt. Let's put him up against Marine King on stage now. And he's like, and Complexity was all freaking out, and they're like, oh god, he doesn't have a shirt, he's just an Academy member. So they made me pull the shirt off my back and give it to him so he could have it in the booth. That was a fun time. And he actually had close games against Marine King too. I remember one specifically on Zelnaga Caverns where he kind of blew it, but he kind of threw away a small lead. But man, those are some tense games. Tough times losing to Marine King on main stage, but Gosu User has been impressive lately. It looks like we got some drone battles going on. Gosu User has actually, you know, joined the main squad of Complexity. He's played enough really good games for them to add him on kind of full time. And he did qualify for IPL 5 recently in our North American qualifier. I
don't know if you just saw there. So he decided to go for a 10 pool, pretty early pool, and actually waited until he scouted to see if it was a hatch first or a pool first from Gosu User before deciding to put up his drones. So he actually had 3 larvae that were sitting around unselected, and then when he saw that there was no hatchery, decided to drop in 3 more drones. So that's an interesting approach. I think he... I don't know, with the extra queen there, I don't think he's going to be too far behind necessarily, but it could have paid off in a big way had his opponent decided to hatch first.
Yeah, it's interesting to see all these ZVZ decisions. Seconds definitely matter in this mirror matchup, perhaps more so than others. I mean, Banelings, having Baneling capability before your opponent can be just a massive boon, and every extra set of lings that you make rather than a drone can have big consequences. But both players at this cross position can actually expand out the same way, you know, take that third base next and then take their whole side of the maps, kind of split down the middle. But usually these EVZs don't get to that point. Usually it's got a little bit of an element of Baneling War, followed by Roach War, followed by Roach Infestor War, and then if we don't have a winner decided by then, Broodlords can tend to show up. But if Broodlords show up, we will probably split the map. At this case, so, you know, two to 3 bases are what I would expect.
Whoa, calm down there, Broodlords. I don't know what you're talking about. So let's get through Banelings and Roaches first. Let's see here, though. Bly does have his expansion up now. Of course, his opponent has had his up for a little bit longer. Gosu User actually producing more queens, going up to a total of 4 here. Not unusual you see 4 queen builds in a ZVZ, but has potential to provide kind of some creative things. I mean, you don't need to go for as many spine crawlers at the beginning, especially on this map. It's a relatively small choke point right there, so 4 queens should be able to, with the aid of a structure, maybe an evolution chamber, be able to wall that off pretty efficiently.
This might have been another good map to just do a proxy hatchery. You know, there's a lot of space in Gosu User's base where he's not revealed it. There is actually room for a hatch at the very top and on the very right side. If he managed to sneak a drone in, he could build a hatch right there, and the creep you wouldn't even see the creep from it because it would just join your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is another map that you can do proxy hatches if you want to be sly, but Bly is just going to try and play it straight up. We got the Roach Warren coming up first for Gosu User. It looks like he skipped Baneling Nest completely, so Bly is going to build that Baneling Nest instead.
All right, so that's why he went 4 queen, was to avoid Banelings. This is kind of a crazy approach. He has a potential to take some damage at the beginning, but he delayed his Roach Warren until he got out an additional 2 more queens, so should be able to remain relatively safe. I don't know. I want to see how this is going to work out. Bly, on the other hand, going up to 4 gases, and that's not really a surprise. Layer tech is already underway for Gosu User. I would imagine that it's going to be there in just a bit from Bly.
Yeah, Lair actually coming up very quickly for Ghost User too. Bly is just behind on that, but he will have the Baneling advantage, so if he were to attack in, Ghost User would have to defend quite well with just Queens and some Roaches. Roaches do stand up to Baneling Blast pretty well, but he's not going to have the ability to return that same sort of instant threat with his own Banelings because he doesn't have a nest. But Zergling Speed is finishing up for Bly. It looks like if he is going to do some aggression, the next wave of Lings should be the one. Yeah, 16 Lings in production. He will bring them all the way down, start morphing in Banelings near Ghost User's natural, and try to get some damage done.
Okay, well, Ghost User already has +1 upgrades coming up for ranged units, so likely not going to be any sort of Spire Infestation Pit if he goes up to higher tech right now, but at the very least, Roach Speed and all of his relevant upgrades will be hitting. And yeah, there's the Infestation Pit. So Bly, like we said, is just behind. Now, he does have the flexibility to move into a Spire pretty quickly here if he wants.
Yep, Ghost User knows that the map distance, the run distance is pretty far here, so he feels pretty confident with just skipping that Baneling nest completely, getting Infestation Pit. He's basically skipping 2 big phases of how most ZVZs are playing out. It's the the first Ling and Baneling attack. He's skipping over it with the option of Roaches and Queens being able to defend. Even if the Banelings do blow up, they won't get that much splash damage off on the Roaches. As you can see, they're all still in pretty good health. Those 2 Banelings both being destroyed completely. Lings are looping back to the side, but there are still some Queens and Roaches to be able to deal with those as well. The Overseer is going to limit the creep spread, which is kind of interesting because, creep benefits both players equally, and it's not really as big of a deal in this matchup.
In this case, though,
yeah,
he knows he's going for Spire, so he's going to be purely through the air, and Speedlings can get there quick enough anyway, so yeah, I see why he did it, and looks like he is going to have enough. Well, actually going up into +1 weapons, melee upgrades, and the Infestation Pit, so does he already know of his opponent's Infestation Pit? I guess just assuming from what he saw before with the quad gas, with the layer tech in place, with the Roaches already on the field, that mutas aren't going to have the greatest effect here.
Yeah, it looks like Ghost User is well equipped to deal with everything. Pathogen Glands about to complete, and his first wave of 5 Infestors hitting the field in just a moment. That'll put him in a good position to deal with some mutas with some fungals. Infested Terrans can help out as well. Spore Crawler coverage is already very good, and the Infestation Pit for Bly just now finishing. He's going to be a bit behind in that regard.
And Hive Tech immediately started, so Bly actually going to switch out of this and go for 10-minute, 45-second Hive Tech. So you weren't too far off when you said Brew Lords. I should not have doubted you. All right, well, there's just one more Overlord forward on the map. Ghost User actually has to produce, it's probably going to end up being 5 or 6 Overlords at a time here before he'll be able to move into anything else. Yeah, there's 5 on the way.
+2 range upgrades and Roach Speed both coming along for Ghost User now that the lair is done. I mean, it's been done a while, but he wanted to get that Infestation Pit and Pathogen Glands all set for that. Hydralisk Den coming up, which will be fine because he does have those range upgrades rolling already. That'll synergize well with his Roaches and Infested Terrans that he's going to be making soon. Mutalisk's doing a good job picking off these Overlords, but like you said, Ghost User is pretty well prepared for that, just making lots and lots of OVs to make up for that. We have some Lings running in. Not sure if they're going to be met with any contention. Some Roaches are there to try and stop it, but no Spine Crawlers actually in here. Queen could potentially go down.
Yeah, I mean, the Queen probably is going to fall, so nice little game there for the cost of a few Zerglings. Of course, that's the real damage dealer in the Mutalisk play in ZVZ.
He's opening this up too.
Yes, are the Zergling run-bys, and being able to open up these attack paths is certainly going to help him. Greater Spire is already coming out for Bly, so we are going to have 3-base Broodlord tech for him.
All right, Bly, just gunning it straight toward those Broodlords. He knows that Ghost User basically skipped a step, and now he's going to try and do it himself, be the first one up there at that Tier 3 tech. We have Hydralisk coming out with more range upgrades and the Hydralisk range upgrade to get everything, situated for this mid-game against the Mutalisks. The Mutalisks are not being produced anymore. They are just going to be Corruptors for a while, and Lings to act as a mineral dump just so you can keep making something and still conserve your gas for those Broodlords when the Greater Spire finishes.
Okay, well, Bly now running away with the Mutalisk as the Hydralisk starting to catch up on the map. The Corruptors, there are 5 on the map for now, and he does have the supply, or well, plenty of supply. He's down 64 supply to his opponent.
Yikes.
Of course, he has very high value units, but will he have enough of them to be able to turn the tide? Because Gosu User's moving out with a maxed army and a very large, it's a very high army count as well, just 67 drones down.
Yeah, Bly basically skipped the Infestor portion. He only has a couple here and just used a bunch of them on Infested Marines to try and stop this huge force. So he is pretty lacking in the terms of a ground army. He's just got some Mutalisk running. He did a Ling run by. He is counterattacking into Gosu User's 3rd and natural at the moment, trying to score a bunch of worker kills. Gosu User looks like he's trying to just straight up kill him, though. 4 Broodlords in production. I don't know where they are or if they're going to be effective. There they are toward the back of the natural. Can we see how much damage these Lings have done at the 3rd of Gosu User? He's going to destroy that hatchery. The natural also had some Lings to deal with, but it looks like he was fine there. As all those units were popping out, they were able to stop that. So Gosu User going to try and just complete the motion here, do the follow through, and kill everything of Bly's.
Well, I don't know. It's with the Broodlords up, that's scary, but it looks like he does have enough maneuverability in anti-air that he will be able to assault these here in a second. Unfortunately, no fungal growth available to him, but it looks like just the damage output from the Hydralisk is going to be plenty enough to start moving these Broodlords back. In fact, the Infested Terrans that are popping up, adding in a little bit more DPS too, and all of these bases are being destroyed.
Pretty much. Bly just traded that 3rd base of Ghost Users for his own natural and tech. You know, you said that the anti-air and the mobility was better for Gosu User, but you also, I mean, the HP, just the sheer amount of stuff that Gosu User has on the ground, it would take him a really long time to clear through all these roaches that are unopposed on the ground. Even if the Broodlings are all around them, they can just focus on buildings, kind of ignore the Broodlings for a while and just allow Gosu User more time to get anti-air in there. So it looks like Gosu User pretty handily scooping, you know, 2 bases, and Bly trying to rebuild. I don't know if that's going to work out for him. The Spire is actually being built now for Gosu User to follow up in case this attack does somehow get held off, but even with that Ultralisk Cavern there, Bly hasn't built anything on the ground to be able to stop this many roaches. Broodlords are going to take way too long to kill this huge force, and there's the GG from Bly. Gosu User ties things up.
All right, Complexity is right back in this, and we have an even match going into game number 5 now, so kind of a crazy, unconventional ZVZ. I liked Gosu User's approach. Bly had that creative start there, going for the very early pool, and then seeing if there was a quick expansion out or not. When it wasn't, he decided to jump over into drones, and then we had heavy tech after a 4-queen build from Gosu User, so I really like the way ZVZ is evolving, and that's a pretty good example of how far it's come. That was a fun match.
Yeah, Gosu User basically said, I don't want to do the whole Baneling Ling fight, so I'm just going to hunker down as best as I can, get some roaches out, and defend the best I can. He basically successfully skipped a whole step in ZVZ, and then Bly, realizing that he was way behind on Infestor Roach, tried to gun it toward Broodlords and just did not have enough. There were enough Hydralisks out for Gosu User to be able to deal with that just fine. And yeah, Gosu User tied it up against a very strong Zerg opponent in Bly. And the fact that Gosu User just won that ZVZ so terrifically, so he handled it so well, bodes well for Complexity, since Acer only has Zerg players left on the roster.
Well, you say that.